Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get our presentation up here, and we're going to get right into these wonderful topics of investing in you. And so if you feel free to, like I said, it's going to be very informal. Feel free to come off if you want to show your picture and then present yourself, or if you just prefer to, just listen, that's fine too. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and share our presentation and give folks a few more minutes to hop on and, join our presentation. So happy Valentine's Day, everybody. David, thank you so much for joining us and happy Valentine's Day.
Hey, Ernestine, happy Valentine's Day to you.
All right. So, David and Amina are actually a part of this workshop as well. So they are going to be talking to some of the, it's health, wealth, and happiness today, and they're going to be talking to the wealth aspect of things, and I'm going to be speaking to the health and happiness, and so. I'm just going to show you guys some clips and just let you know that think of this like a, clubhouse to discussion, very informal. And, we're going to talk about goal setting, planning, accountability, and then saving and making smart financial decisions. And then it's kind of building on a workshop I hosted last month, which was what do you imagine yourself being, doing, or having? And these are personal development kind of things that you want to, plan out for yourself. And what do you imagine yourself, really leaning into in 2021? So this workshop is for folks who are, single, in a couple, but it's for anybody who wants to be the best version of themselves in 2021. Because as the famous RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen? All
Man,
right. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. So this is your Investing in You workshop. And so what are some things, and I just want people to chime in, what are some things that you don't spend enough time on, for yourself that in 2021 you would really like to, just really have more of? What are some things do you need more, self-care? Do you think that you need to practice more, being on top of your health? What are some things that, you feel like you really want to step up to?
Sleep.
Okay, okay, getting more sleep. All right, anybody else? Just throw it out there.
I would say my health, not necessarily health, but working out, that type of thing, and
Hmm.
my finances, how to get more.
Okay. How to get more. Okay, okay.
More.
Well then, this is definitely the workshop for you because what we're gonna do is explore, just some quotes, some motivation, and ways for us to feel more loved so that we can give more love to those around us. And I wanted to start off with this nice little quote, and may everyone around you find ways to always feel loved and appreciated, because when we pour into ourselves, then we're not actually pouring from an empty cup, and we're able to really be there for those in our community, be there for our friends, be there for our family, and then be there for those that we love, because it's Valentine's Day. So I think that it's really important to be able to take care of our health. So we're going to talk about wealth and fitness, and feel free to ask any questions. Just like I said, this is going to be very informal. Um, so, we're going to explore these concepts, and we hope to grow, because if you've attended any of my workshops in the past, you know that we revisit some of these concepts. And these are things that, even at my workplaces, I tend to bring something called the spark, which is, we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we look at self-actualization is very high up there with things like, needing to have food, water, and just having that appreciation. Hmm. Was that somebody with a question?
Sorry, my son came in.
No, it's okay. And also, who's on the call here? I see some new names. I know that we typically get a lot of Harper Woods folks. My favorite people, of course. So let's go around the room and actually introduce ourselves. And if you don't want to come on screen, you don't have to. But let's just tell us who you are and how you found out about the workshop. and what brought you here? Starting with Charlotte.
Right. I'll start. Hi, I am Charlotte Jones. I'm a Harper Woods resident. I am also the president of the Neighborhood Economic Development Coalition. What brought me here is, well, I wasn't doing nothing, and Ernestine usually puts on something pretty interesting. So since I was sitting here, I was like, let me check it out. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. I saw Lauren's name light up as if she was about to say something, and then Amina. So
I was just gonna say, I'm Lauren Church. I also live in Harper Woods. I mean, I need a touch base on all of these things, frankly. In fact, yesterday I was out and bought like a new little project and thought to myself, I need to learn how to like stick the landing with the like 6 crafting, like house projects that I have like running around. And so I need to kind of work on that, but also just like, I mean, I can always use a touch base for like health and how to incorporate happiness in my life. So I'm happy to be here and to hear what Ernestine has to say.
awesome. I burnt myself on this. I got myself this cup for Valentine's Day, and it's one of those thermal ones. And as I took a sip, I burnt myself a little bit. So, all right, we have Amina next.
Hello, everyone. I'm honored to be a part of the Zoom. I found out from Ernestine. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm just honored that you even consider as someone that's capable to speak on such an important topic. But I'm an assistant manager for a financial institution professionally. I launched my own community development organization called Mind Your Business in 2019. So I'm trying to grow and develop that. I'm also the secretary of the NEDC, and I think that's it. I'm just happy to be here. Hi, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day.
Okay, and thank you, Amina, for taking time out of your busy schedule. All right, and since you're on screen, tell us who you are and and a little bit about yourself.
Sure, I'm David Smith. I've been an investor since 2002, so about 19 years. Software developer, startup guy. And I'm here because I just find Ernestine interesting, feel like she does interesting things, and giving back to the community a bit here.
Thank you. All right, and we have Sheri.
Hello, everyone. I figured I'll share my video. I can't do an intro without letting you see my face. But I'm Sheri Cornelius. I'm a resident of Harper Woods here professionally. I'm a manager at Blue Cross Blue Shield. I'm also a certified master life coach, and I am about to launch my own coaching business. What brought me here, one, I always see things. I learned about it in one of the Harper Woods Facebook groups. And so I always see things there, but typically I'm always unable to join because I'm either working or busy doing something. And coincidentally today I was free. So I said, let me hop on and see what's going on. So just trying to get connected more with my neighbors and things going on in the neighborhood. And because it aligns closely with the business that I'm about to launch. So that's what brings me here today.
And we might need to have you chime in on a little bit of, some of the topics here, because life coaching, and, you'll probably see some of these books behind me. I'm probably going to talk about them. There's a lot of personal and professional development, like Atomic Habits and, Dare to Lead, and, the 4-hour work week, and some of those concepts, of course, these are guiding principles. And I think that we should, all aspire to want to be the best version. So yes, and now you can't get rid of me now that I know you.
Okay, that's what it's all about, making connections, right?
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, who do we have next?
Okay, my name is Janetta Tabron. I'm a resident of Harper Woods, married to Reginald Tabron. I saw this on Facebook and I said, oh, those are very interesting topics that I would like to be a part of. I do some work with the NEDC. Like I said before, I know you done heard this before, me and my husband are empty nesters now. So we have a lot of free time. So, yep, just hello, everybody.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you. So is that everybody?
My name's Tiffany and I'm new. This is the first time that I've seen one of the workshops pop up, so I was kind of confused in the beginning.
Oh,
So, I'm
Hi,
new. I'm a Harper Woods resident, um, and lots of changes in my life. So, kind of trying to get out of my shell here.
okay, okay. Well,
well, welcome.
exactly. Welcome. And we got
Welcome.
one more person needs to be admitted. So thank you, Tiffany, for joining us. And this isn't going to be. Hopefully, this isn't the last workshop. We do have a lot of these kind of things in Harper Woods. So you'll definitely be hearing more from us about whether they're city sponsored things or they're going to be things that are around just community engagement. Then we're always going to have something. So I know next month there is actually a cybersecurity workshop for residents, and we're definitely looking forward to making sure that people know how to stay safe on the web, and that's just one of the many things that we're going to be having planned virtually, and then hopefully in person some things as
Can
well.
I say something else?
Absolutely, Charlotte.
I am also the on the activities committee of the Neighborhood Economic Development Coalition. And those events that Ernestine speak of, we look for suggestions from our citizens for
Mhm.
things that you would like to see.
Yes.
I brought the first Harper Woods flea market to our neighborhood, which we are hoping that we can have a face-to-face flea market this year. We have like a community flea market. So Ernestine also does soup and we participate and help. So any event that they have in Harper Woods, the activities committee and the Neighborhood Economic Development Coalition, we all help sponsor those and help facilitate those. And then on a personal note, I am also a published author, and I too do a lifestyle Facebook Live once a week. Okay, I'm done.
On Mondays at 9, is it, Charlotte?
9 p.m. Eastern. So
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for all of that. And thank you everybody
yeah.
for now that we're all friends. Thank you for your introductions. So I'm just going to see if there are any things in the chats. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about health, wealth, and happiness. Now, we're going to jump right into having some, oh my gosh, and I'm so sorry about the visuals here as I converted it from one form to another. The pictures are kind of skewed here of David and Amina, but if we're going to talk about investing and financial responsibility. So, David's probably going to talk a little bit more to the investing aspect, because I know that a lot of us have in 2020 kind of heard a lot more about individual investing and like investing for folks who are just everyday people are definitely doing this more. I know 2020 was the first time I actually started buying stocks, and then you started hearing about the whole GameStop issue, and and then many of us being maybe in retirement age, we want to make sure that we are investing where we should be. And so just really having some background information on that. So David, do you want to give us a little spiel and just talk a little bit about what we should know, and then we'll jump right into Amina's talking a little bit about financial responsibility and making sure that you are staying on top of things like taxes, because Amina also offers the Mind Your Business tax workshops, formerly at the library pre-pandemic, but now a lot of her workshops are virtual. So all right, David, you can take it away.
Well, thank you. I think I'll answer a number of questions I think that come up often, and then open it up to specific questions. So there's a few things that I hear often. One is people want to be rich right away. And I think that's like, wanting to be Mr. Universe right away. You don't go into the gym day one and you're going to have, 26-inch biceps on day two. And that's the same thing for investing. And so I see a lot of people who are trying to do this. So just last week, one of my friends was talking to me. He's got $100 and he wants to be a millionaire in like 6 months. And so what he's doing is he's taking very risky investments, and he's risking losing all of his money and it's almost 0% chance, it's like winning the lottery, for him to get to his $1 million with the strategy that he's employing. The strategies that have worked for me in investing is putting away as much money as I could, finding a way, kind of like getting into the gym, to build those muscles, finding a way to put away cash. And it sucks. It sucks for a long time where, for 10 years, from 2002, when I was a sophomore at Michigan State, to 2012, I was just putting away as much money as I could and not seeing much return from it. Just like getting into that gym where it's like, those 26-inch biceps aren't coming. But now, I retired a few years ago, and it's working quite well for me. But it's because I took a long view and I said, I'm going to put away a bunch of money for a long time, and I'm not going to take these risky bets where I can lose all my money, and I'm just going to grow assets and grow assets. So I think that's the first thing, is going into it with a long-term mindset. And then the second, when I tell people this, they're like, well, Dave, if I've got $100 and I invest it, and, it only gives me, 3% next year, so it might only give me $3 next year, that doesn't move the needle for me. It doesn't matter. And it's like, well, you can't get the 26-inch biceps if you don't go to the gym on day one. You've got to go into that gym day after day, and it sucks for a long time. But to see amazing results, to see results that other people aren't getting, you've got to put in that work over a long period of time. And you got to start at the beginning when it sucks, and just find a way. That leads me to the third thing that I hear, is that people say, like, well, Dave, I don't have any extra money. I spend all my money. And that's the same thing. I'll go back to the gym. You got to find the time in the day. If it's important to you, if your financial freedom is important to you, or if buying a house is important to you, if paying for your kids to go to college, whatever that goal is, getting out of debt, if that goal is important to you, you've got to make space for it in your budget. And you've got to find, a way. And sometimes it sucks. Sometimes it sucks having roommates. It sucks skipping trips. It sucks not being able to buy people presents. But if you have that goal in mind, and you march towards it, and just like going into the gym, and the cool thing about investing is you can see that progress being made, and you can see that number going up. You can see, oh, hey, I'm investing, maybe $100 a year or $100 a month or something, and seeing that grow. So you're seeing some progress, and you can feel good about the progress, knowing that, in the future, you're going to hit a goal. So I think those are some of the things that I hear right away, is like, hey, I want to be rich right now. Hey, I don't have any money to do it. And that time horizon. What are some of the questions that people have out there about investing? Ernestine.
Okay, I do have one quick question.
Yes.
So, really, these are two questions. One, I think I'm going to ask about, like, what are realistic numbers for retirement age, and, like, how do you know if, one, you are aiming for the right amount to have saved in maybe a 401k for retirement, or, once you've reached retirement age, what can you do to kind of, increase those investments? Say if you didn't quite reach your goal, and that maybe you want to have maybe a more extravagant retirement age life. So what are some things you can, do to, one, what is that number? And then what are some things you can do to kind of make things better for yourself once you've kind of gotten to retirement, and then maybe you didn't reach your goal?
Yeah. So I don't know how good people are out there with spreadsheets, but probably about 2004 or something. In 2012, I used to have a spreadsheet, that was looking at these, my number was hitting $1 million. And if I had $1 million in assets, I figured it would kick off 6% per year, and 6% on $1 million is $60,000 a year. And I knew I could live on $20,000 a year. And so that 60,000 was kind of a buffer for me, saying, hey, I'm good with 20. So if I've got 60 coming in, there's some room for me screwing things up. And so that was my numbers. And I was working towards, that $1 million goal. And I would look at my spreadsheet and say, what's my savings rate? What's my asset base? Like in 2012, I was saving about $3,000 a month. So it was about $36,000 a year, that I was putting, into my, to my investment accounts. And then I was, projecting how far is that going to grow. So I was thinking it was going to be about 10 years there for me. For people who aren't good with spreadsheets, there are calculators online. If you look up like retirement calculators, but it really boils down to a couple things. One is how much do you have, and what is that bringing to you. But the most important thing is like how much do you have in there. So if you only have $100 in your account, like it doesn't matter what you do, that $100 is not going to generate a lot of money. So you're going to need, we're talking probably hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to have income on an annual basis that's in maybe the $40,000 to $100,000 range. It's big numbers, and the longer that you chip at that, if you chip at it for 1 year, it's gonna be really hard to get there. If you chip at it over 40 years, then all of a sudden these numbers are more achievable. To your second point, how much do you need? And that's different for everybody. Some people can live on ramen and shop at Goodwill and stuff like that. They can live on maybe $12,000 or $20,000. Yeah, maybe that's you, Ernestine. Some people, maybe some people, $1 million to them a year feels like being broke. So one way a lot of people think about this is like, what are they earning today? So if you're making $60,000 today, maybe that's the lifestyle that you want to, be in when you're retired. Or maybe you think I'm going to earn less. For me, I always like to plan conservatively. So, I like to think, hey, if I need $60,000 a year, why don't I plan to earn $120,000 a year or something like that? And so this is, probably plug these things into your calculator. But, for rough numbers, if you need $60,000 a year, you're probably going to need about $1 million in assets in something like the stock market. That's kind of a rough ballpark. If you need $120,000 a year, then it's going to be 2 million. If you need $30,000 a year, 500,000. Those are some rough kind of numbers. And take that to your financial planner, because it also depends on where you're at, and things can get a little bit tricky, especially if you're at that retirement age. There are things called annuities where you can take in a lower rate of return, but it's guaranteed, versus if you're in the stock market, things can fluctuate more. So, just kind of take these numbers as ballpark numbers, things to think about. So then, interesting, the second thing you talked about was like, well, hey, what if I need my $60,000 a year, but I don't have $1 million in assets. I've only got 800,000. So that, then people have a choice to make. It's like, well, we can bring down, if we got 800,000, then that's going to maybe kick off $48,000 per year in income. So we can, downgrade our lifestyle, or maybe we push off retirement, or maybe we find some way to, to bridge that $12,000 gap. Maybe that's getting like a job, with Uber, or, some of these,
the gig economy, like, doing like a DoorDash or something like that.
Yeah. For me, I've been retired about 4 years now. I feel good when my assets are increasing every month, and my income is coming in every month. And when I had my own business, 10 years ago, sometimes, I was losing money for months on end, and that never felt good to me. And I think that would be the same thing too. If I was 60 or 70 or something like that, I would want to see my numbers going up, because then I know no matter how long I live, I'm living within my means, and I'm going to continue to live at the lifestyle that I'm at. Versus, if I've got $1 million and it's kicking off $60,000 in cash a year, and I'm spending $70,000, well, at some point that's going to, run out. And then the next year, I've got less than $1 million. And then the next year I've got, less and less every year. And I'd feel kind of nervous about that, versus, if I'm always living, if I'm making $60,000 a year and I'm spending 50,000 or 40,000, then I'm always growing. And for me, that feels good. And then I don't have to worry about, screwing things up and running out of money.
Thank you, David. And anybody else have any questions? And also thank you, David Callis, for joining. I see you there. Welcome. You haven't missed much. We are just talking about wealth, and we are also going to get into health and happiness. And
yes. I have a couple of questions for David. So first, I want to say something to your point where you say people say they don't have time and whatnot. People find money for what they want to find money for. And if it's important to them, they'll find money for that. That's number one. Number two, you said a 6% return on $1 million will garner you $60,000 a year. Where are you finding a 6% return? At what financial institution is your $1 million bringing you 6%? That's one question, and I'll let you answer that before I get into my next one.
So the typical return on the S&P 500 has been
Okay.
8%. So then I use 6% as a little bit more conservative, saying like, well, hey, it's supposed to give me 8, but you know, if I call it 6, then you know, then I should be good. So that's my thinking on that 6% number. But to really lock it in, you know, it would need to be with like a bond type instrument or a treasury type instrument, and those things don't quite yield, you know, these 6 or 8%. And things get a little bit complicated. It kind of gets into politics a little bit. But you know, some of the actions that we took last year, you know, as a country, you know, spending money really put pressure on investors and really make it hard to lock in, you know, a $60,000 a year salary.
Okay. So you're pretty much talking about like the stock market, or like you say, bonds or something like that. So that does kind of bring me to my second question. So with investing, when you said that $100, that's what Robinhood asked you for to start an account. And I started one, and I'm actually doing pretty good, but it's small, trust me. So and that sometimes it's so up and down that it scares me, but I think I'm doing best to kind of hold on to what I have and let it go. Cause I'm like, I've more than that $100. It's at $500 now. Okay?
Oh my gosh, that feels great, huh?
So that's pretty good. And my daughter, my son, we all invest together, you know. So I'm kind of doing my little research. I think I know what I'm doing a little bit from my little college courses that I took in stocks and investing and stuff. But it's like, do you hold on when you see the market fluctuate? I know politics do play a part in it because I watch what's going on, and then I see how my stocks do. So that's something that, like, I didn't understand that GameStop thing. I've been trying to understand it, but I just didn't understand what happened.
Yeah. So I think, you know, the main question there, I think, is about buying and holding things.
Yeah.
And what's up?
Yeah, holding. When do I get scared? Do I hold on? What do I do?
Yeah, for me, I really like acquiring things and things that I plan on holding for a long time. The times that I've really lost money in investing, it's been when I thought, oh, GameStop's going to go up tomorrow, or I thought, I mean, I didn't actually invest in GameStop, but 9 years ago, I actually invested in Pandora. So there was like a Wednesday, I think, and I had a huge day. I can't remember if I made $3,000 or $4,000, and it was a huge amount of money for me that day, and I was so excited. And I thought, the next day I'm gonna make even more money, because I thought I knew what the stock was going to do. And so that morning, at the market open, I'm putting in my orders, and I lost, I think it was like $4,000 or $5,000.
Oh, wow.
And I've done that a few times in my career where, I thought a stock was going to do this or that, and, tomorrow or this weekend or whatever. And those are the times when I've really lost money. And where I've really made money is, just buying things and holding them. Or sometimes, when things dip down, I don't panic sell. A lot of people, when things sell, they sell, they hit the sell button. And a lot of times when things go up, that's when people buy. I'm the flip. I'm more likely to buy when something goes down, almost like at Meijer, or, when they have a sale. It's like, oh, this thing is discounted, I want to buy it because the price went down on it. And then if things go up, then I'm like, it's not as good a deal as it was. So if I wasn't going to buy it, at $50 and now it's $100, well, now it doesn't look good to me. So that's how I think about things. I usually buy into things that I plan on holding, for years at a time. Things that I think, sometimes I try to imagine, can I imagine a future where this doesn't exist? Like the first time I was ever in an Uber, could I imagine a world in which Uber doesn't exist? No. Bitcoin's been a big investment for me. Can I imagine a world where people don't, send money around digitally? No, I can't imagine that. And so those are things that I feel good about, holding for years at a time.
So I can't afford Bitcoin, but I do have Dodge.
Yeah.
So I got some of that, and I try to buy stuff that I use. I have some Coach, the Container Store, and those have like tripled. Container Store, I think I paid $2.35 for. It was under $3, and it's now at like $15.
Oh my gosh.
So, I do stuff that I see people use every day. That's what and that's kind of been my theory. And I carry Coach. I love the Coach brand, and I bought it at like $12, and it's at like $38 a share now.
That feels great, huh?
I know. So I'm just, I'm learning. So that's the thing. Okay. That's you've pretty much covered.
There's one more
everything.
topic I want to talk about in there. So there's a concept called diversification.
Mhm.
And so like, let's say I love Coach and I buy Coach and Coach is going great and I'm up triple or something. And then maybe the CEO has a heart attack or, I don't know, somebody sues Coach for patent or something. And then boom, Coach, takes a dive. And that's all I had. The concept of diversification is having, multiple different things. If you have like Coach and you have Apple and you have McDonald's, you have a few different things that you love. Then if one goes down, then you're not all your eggs aren't in one basket.
So if the Coach CEO had a heart attack, would you sell?
Would I sell? I'm not familiar with that company. I guess it depends. If I thought so one company I'm familiar with is Tesla. Their CEO Elon Musk, and a couple of years ago he had a tiff with the SEC, one of the government regulatory bodies, and they wanted to kick him out of the company. And I didn't have shares in Tesla, but if I would have, I would have sold my shares immediately if they kicked him out as CEO, because I felt like he is the company. And so I don't know about Coach, but it might just depend. Like, if I think, hey, the CEO, is really driving this company and he has a heart attack, then I might sell out of it. If I thought like, oh, his number two is the real person, and then he has a heart attack, maybe it's even good for the company if he gets out of there.
Okay. All right. So, okay.
You make good points, David. I think it's important when investing to research the businesses you're investing in. Kind of along those lines you were just speaking, something along those lines kind of happened with Bed Bath & Beyond recently. CEO wasn't doing a good job. Company was doing bad, almost was about to go into bankruptcy. Someone else became CEO. They weren't that great. And I can't think of the guy's name now, but they have a new CEO and that stock is shooting up now, all because of who's now running the company.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. So you
know the history of people and what their backgrounds are really has an impact on how the company performs and how the stock performs, essentially.
And talking about research, what we're really buying when we're buying into companies is we're buying future cash flow. So it's like, if you buy into Coach is going to sell, I think they sell purses and maybe they sell other things. But what we're really buying is, we're saying, hey, we're going to put $100 into Coach now or something. And then Coach is going to use that $100 to build purses, pay employees, rent store space, buy advertising, that kind of stuff. And then we expect that they're going to, pay us back more money in the future. And so we're kind of really buying money, and to get really, into the research mode about it, the people can put together spreadsheets and say, hey, what's the value of, the future cash flow that we expect this business to kick off of. And I'd imagine, less than 1% of people, do the kind of analyses. A lot of people are buying what they know, or a lot of people are even buying just what's in the news. But really getting into it, like the value investors, like the Warren Buffetts and people like that, that's what they're analyzing, is they're looking at, the future cash flow of this company, and they're taking a scientific approach to it, which has been pretty effective. For people who don't have, the time, the hundreds of hours or thousands of hours that it takes to research these companies, you can buy what's called index funds, and this gives you immediate diversification, and that goes to, that like 6% number that I was talking about before. You can buy SPY, which is it's like buying a basket that has all the top 500 companies in the US in it. So you're getting, some Tesla, some Apple, I don't know, probably McDonald's is in there, maybe Sony's in there. You're getting the top 500 companies in the US into that basket. And then you're diversified. What that does is you're not going to get these 3x returns anymore, because these companies aren't going to get 3x more valuable because you got 500 companies in there, and it's gonna smooth out your returns. So you're not going to have these as big ups, and you're not going to have as big downs. But over time, it just creeps up. Like if the U.S. is doing well, the S&P is doing well.
David, is that similar to EFTs?
Yep. Actually, yep. Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah,
Okay.
the SPY is an exchange traded fund.
EFT? Okay.
Okay, any other
Somebody said
questions?
that
Oh,
there were
mhm.
college classes on like the stock market.
Did you say other college classes on the stock market?
I thought somebody said that they took a college class to like learn how to invest in the stock market.
It was actually part of the curriculum, and it wasn't called that, but we covered that. And I can't really think what it was called.
Sounds like it would have been like a business class that kind of talks about investing or something of that nature. And I think that there should be more financial literacy, around just investing, because I think what happens is, people are under the assumption that, oh, okay, you need to be a really, really wealthy person to invest. But really, and I think this is why apps like Robinhood and, also Acorns have become popular, because it gives the everyday person an opportunity to invest, because it kind of takes out the complication. So it just makes it a little easier and attainable for folks to be able to, just kind of jump in there and invest.
Oh my gosh, that's a great point. And actually, a lot of people might be investors too. Where if you have a 401k at work, like when I started, working in 2000, my employer had a 401k match. So they would put 4% of my salary into a 401k automatically, and then if I put in 3% of my salary, then they would put in another 3%. So I was probably making about $10,000 a year back then. So maybe $300 of my money I was putting in, and then they were putting in $700. The 4% base, plus the 3% that they were matching me. So I was getting, I was doubling the money that I was putting in every year. And so I did that. I worked for them from 2000 to 2007. I probably put in like $22,000 over that time, or, them and me. And today, 21 years later or whatever, that number's, I don't know if it's worth $100,000 or $150,000 or something. It's like a snowball that just starts rolling downhill. And so, today, probably the best investment you can make is if you have a 401k and your employer does a match on it, that is free money for you. And that's probably one of the best investments you can make right now.
That's my favorite kind of money.
Hello, everyone. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
My name is Reginald Tabron.
Oh, okay. I didn't see your name on here, so I was like, okay, where is he coming from? Hi, Reggie. How's it going?
How you doing?
Good.
As you know, my wife probably told you I'm getting ready to retire as well.
Okay.
But as a teacher, I would love for this to be offered as a curriculum in schools so that our young folks, especially in high school, can, get that knowledge now before they get my age, so they can, venture out and learn how to invest money and profit from it as well. Make them become entrepreneurs in this field. So I was just wondering, are there any courses that can be taught to our high schoolers or even middle school or elementary, so that they can get some type of background, so that they can understand how it really works? Because, at my age, I'm still learning, but I would love for our kids to know this as well, other than playing video games. But I would just love for them to be able to
Maybe
get
make it
excited
a
about
video
this
game.
or making a video. Yeah.
That's right.
So can they produce something, a curriculum for our little kids?
That's
I'm
actually
just
a really
asking.
great, that's a great question, Reggie, because like that would be more financial classes, financial literacy. And I'll let David Smith chime in a little bit more on that specifically, because I think that I know even I'm a Harper Woods High School graduate. And, you know, I feel that I was woefully underprepared when I left Harper Woods High because there was not a lot of there wasn't any emphasis on teaching finance. There wasn't any, there were no courses on finance at Harper Woods High. And I can't speak to what the new superintendent actually, there may be, because I know they have, they actually, somebody talked about programming video games. They actually do have coding and, you know, it's, you know, something that's now on the radar of the school district. But I think that a lot of school districts, you know, don't necessarily teach, you know, finance and, you know, financial literacy and things of that nature. So, you know, then it's up to folks like Amina and the community who want to bring these kind of things to, you know, people's attention. But yeah, I'll let David chime in. Mhm.
There's an organization called Junior Achievement that seeks to do just that. And I think it is so important, you know, being here in America. When, you know, when I was growing up, I think everybody who are my friends, they all wanted to be financially free. And I think they thought, you know, we get there by being a sports star or by a movie star or something like that, or winning the lottery. And that's not really how it works in America. It's about investing and being a business owner. But we never learned anything about that in school. And Junior Achievement is a group that I was supposed to volunteer with last year, but because of the COVID, it didn't happen. But that's their purpose, is to teach young people about investing, about business, about financial acumen. And so I can't speak to it, you know, from a personal perspective, but I know that is their goal, and they say they do a good job at it. And so that might be something to look at, you know, if it's
I
already in
didn't
the
even know
I
schools.
they
do
were still
know that
around.
I know that they go to the elementary. I heard of Junior Achievement because we have them come to our school I say October, November, they come to our school and they stay the whole day and teach our kids about investing. But I was wondering, is it at the high school level? Can they go up to the high school level where I think it'd be more meaningful for them because they have more knowledge in their math?
Yeah, I thought they went up to high school, but I could be wrong on that.
They did when I was in high school, which was a long time ago. They did, but I didn't even know that JA was still around. I had until you just mentioned it. That's the first time I've heard of them in forever.
It
Maybe.
really starts in our homes, though. I mean, I know growing up, talking about money was taboo. You didn't dare ask, you know, your parents what they made, you know, and I think, you know, we were really, you know, put in a bad spot. You know, these kids need to learn about money and credit and understand that bad credit in the long run costs you a fortune.
Oh my
You
gosh.
know? And I know I try it with my kids, and my kids are just like, whatever. You know, I've got one that won't spend a dime, and I've got one that, you know, the first vending machine they walk by, you know, they're dropping all their money into it, you know. Um, I just, I, I've been in healthcare my entire life, but because of the pandemic, I'm getting that first responders, that
Vaccine.
scholarship. So, no, I'm not getting the vaccine. But I'm getting that scholarship, and I'm going to switch gears, and I want to go into finance. So I think I basically have to start with accounting or something like that first. And that's why I was trying to see, you know, are there classes, because I really don't want to be an accountant, but I'd like to get into finance and investing. And I'm native. You guys don't know, but you know, I'd like to take it into, you know, and teach native communities, you know, how to become financially, you know, independent. But again, we got to start with the kids, and we got to start with, you know, with them young. And you know, unfortunately, the schools aren't really teaching, and kids aren't real, you know, eager to listen to mom and dad when they're saying save money. But I think our parents did serious harm in absolutely refusing to talk about money, and a lot of us just made mistakes along the way, and it cost us a fortune. Trying to prevent the kids from making all the same mistakes we did.
Exactly. You made a very good point there about, just not having so much taboo around, finances. You have to talk about things. And, people who, become financially independent almost become obsessed with knowing, about the numbers, knowing about their budgets, and talking about money, and talking to mentors, and talking to people who can take them to the next level. So it's, I'm going to take 2 more questions, and then we're going to move right along to Amina. David did have a question, David Callis. Yeah, you can go ahead and ask.
Hi, David. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
Getting ready for the snow that's coming.
Oh boy.
I, like some others here, going through grade school and high school, we weren't taught any of this stuff, okay? And my dad's been doing it for 70 years. He got a broker to do it. So, we were never taught that. You don't come around the broker when he's here, kind of thing. So, the ideas about the video games and the youngers, well, shoot, the youngers are so smart these days and advanced. I'd buy that video game because that would probably be an adult version for me. But my question for you, sir, is, and this may be ignorant because I don't know, what is the difference between the New York Stock Exchange and the Nasdaq?
They're different exchanges where you can, as a company, when you go public, you can decide where to go public. And I think the way that it used to work, back in the day before the internet, was more the New York Stock Exchange would be the market maker and be on both the buy side and the sell side of the transaction. If you're going to buy GameStop or something, and you bought GameStop, you'll be buying from the New York Stock Exchange. And if you sold GameStop, you'd be selling to the New York Stock Exchange. Versus on the Nasdaq, that was peer-to-peer. So like if you're selling GameStop and I'm buying GameStop, at $50 a share, then it's, me, David, selling to you, David, or me, David, buying you, David. And it's like a peer-to-peer. That's my understanding of the difference between the two. But I think some of that has, kind of gone by the wayside as technology has evolved, and there's, all these different brokers and things like that now. And to be honest with you, I don't really know why, when people list, why they decide to list on the New York Stock Exchange or the Nasdaq. It seems like most tech companies, go towards the Nasdaq. From an investment perspective, I never really cared where the stocks traded or not.
Okay, and then the next question is I'm gonna roll Lauren's comment in the chat in with my question. So Lauren says that stocks make her anxious, and I felt the same way earlier, because I opened a Roth IRA, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start investing in probably 2019, but I just let savings go into there, but I never actually invested anything. And so, how do you get rid of some of that anxiety around, knowing what to do? Is that something more like get more education around it, and then that anxiety will go away? Or is it something you need to be anxious about because there's so much risk involved?
Yes, there's maybe 2 sources of anxiety. Like one is maybe what to do, and then number 2 is maybe when the price is moving around. Are those where you're feeling anxiety?
I think, Lauren, I don't know if you want to chime in and maybe.
Yeah, that's pretty much where my anxiety comes from. In fact, like I've got a 401k, and I've got, I want to say 5 shares of Ford that I gave my husband as a 30th birthday present that,
oh my gosh,
did not do well over the last 10 years. But it just, like, when I was paying attention to it, I rolling that roller coaster, I was just like, I have an anxiety disorder. I can't do this. But it maybe, what's being touched on about like education, maybe that would help. I think both points touch on where my feeling came from.
Yeah, I think, because I remember when I first went to buy, to invest in 2002. I mean, first I made a bad investment. It wasn't horrible, but I got into a product that wasn't good. It was a certificate of deposit that wasn't paying a high rate of return. And so then after I got out of that and wanted to get in the stock market, I didn't know what to buy. And so, I asked my dad, I asked my uncle, but like you were saying, David, they had stockbrokers, and I didn't know it at the time, but they wouldn't give me any advice. And what I didn't understand was that they didn't themselves actually, know how to evaluate companies. And so I kind of floundered around, for like 8 years. And eventually, found out these index funds and ETFs were the way to go. And then there's a book that I read that I think is up here somewhere, but it's by John Bogle. Oh, here it is. So finally, I read this book in like 2012 or something, and figured out that I should have been in index funds and ETFs. This is the founder of Vanguard, John Bogle, and the cliff notes of this is pretty much buy the S&P 500 index with Vanguard, and then you'll just be doing like how the market's doing. That's those top 500 companies in the US. And if I would have followed that advice, if I'd have read this book, known about this book in 2002, by the time I figured it out in 2010, I probably would have had, I don't know, another, $20,000 or $50,000 or something. So I think that might help with like the what to buy is, reading a book like this, that's just going to tell you, hey, buy index funds. Then the other piece of it, about the money moving around, for me, sometimes it really like hurt a long time ago, if I saw my portfolio decline in value. And so I think there's a few strategies, like one could be not to look at it. I don't watch the financial news. My aunt watches the financial news, and I was out visiting her a couple of years ago, and she was like, "Oh, hey, you're having a bad day." And I was like, "What? Why?" And she's like, "Because the market's down." I'm like, "No, I'm not having a bad day. I'm not going to sell this stuff for decades. So, why do I care today what it's doing?" So I don't pay attention to the news, and you can keep, kind of those prices out of your face, maybe can help with that anxiety. And I think the other thing can be is to have some benchmarks. And so one of the good things about being in the S&P is if you're in the S&P, most things get benchmarked against the S&P. And so you're just gonna be doing how everybody else is doing, which if you're in the S&P is pretty much up, unless there's a recession like in 2008, a recession like actually it was even up last year in the recession, which is kind of crazy. With the government getting involved. I mean, it probably wouldn't have been without the government getting involved, but the government wants the market to go up, and so they did get involved, and so they're kind of helping you if you're in the S&P, but to benchmark it against something. And so if I was going to invest in a GameStop, or I think we talked about Coach earlier, we talked about Bed Bath and Beyond, I would benchmark those stocks against the S&P, and if I'm investing in individual stocks, I would want to beat the S&P, because I'm putting in more work, I'm taking on more risk, and so for that work, for that risk, I should be getting something. And for me, a lot of it is going to be, I want to see a higher rate of return. So I'm taking on more risk and I'm doing work, so I want to see a higher rate of return. I think the other thing that people could care about is a social aspect, where if I really loved some company, if I really loved Tesla, I might not care if I'm losing money in Tesla every day. I might just be like, hey, Tesla's helping make the world a better place. It's removing carbon, making us energy efficient, solar, that kind of stuff. So I might not care that I'm losing money, but usually when I'm investing, I want a financial return. And so my benchmark a lot of times would be the S&P. And if I'm putting in extra work and taking on extra risk, I would benchmark against the S&P to see how I'm doing. And I think that could help with anxiety, because like one, if you are the benchmark, well, you're doing as good as you can. And if not, then that just gives you like, something to measure against.
I want to add in there, Ernestine, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I think something that helps with the anxiety as well is, one, don't go into investing without a strategy. You have to know what your strategy is and stick to it, and not allow your strategy to be influenced by others. What I've learned here recently is I've really been paying attention to the difference between investing and trading. Day trading has become extremely popular. And if you're a long-term investor, day trading will throw your entire strategy off, and vice versa. So just knowing what your strategy is, being careful of what you're listening to and what you allow to influence your strategy. If you're one that don't like to look at the numbers, because that's not me either, day trading absolutely is not your thing. It's impossible to day trade if you don't want to look at the numbers, because you're literally looking at them all day if you're day trading. But, you know, to some of the things David said, find that company, you know, do your research, invest, and just let it sit there. You know, let it be a long-term investment. Check on it periodically, meaning every few months, not every other day or every few days, but looking at those numbers, checking your portfolio on a regular and consistent basis can cause great anxiety. The other thing I'll say is education is key too. My Facebook has taken a totally different look now. I follow now less people that I know and more people around things in life that I'm trying to learn more about. So I follow many groups on Facebook centered around investing, and I learn tons from them. And then they lead me to different YouTube channels, and, you know, it just continues to grow and grow and grow the more you surround yourself with it. Very intimidating subject, but once you start to learn it, it's really not that hard. Someone said it earlier, we, you know, invest our time and money in things that we want to. It's there. It's just really up to us to go out and dedicate ourselves to it. So I would say education, Facebook, YouTube is out there. If you're in college and you just want to pick up a class around it, you know, on this subject, go for it. But I definitely would encourage anyone to go to college just to learn how to invest. There's so much free knowledge out there. So much.
I love those tips.
Very well said. Yes, love it, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that portion. We're gonna move into a little bit more financial literacy from Amina. So thank you for all the questions, and feel free to drop more questions in the chat if you still have them. And yeah. Okay, so we're gonna move right into Amina's portion of our wealth aspect of the workshop. Oh, Amina, you're on mute. Oh, let me unmute you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So David has already given us a lot of good information. So I'm just going to add on to what he's already spoken to us about. But just to give you all some statistics that I found from Money Works magazine, so that we know the type of company that we're in here in the United States, over almost 60% of adults admitted that they are living paycheck to paycheck. Over 29% of US adults have no emergency savings, and almost 30% of Americans, they don't save any of their money, put any of their income towards savings. So financial literacy, like everyone has already stated, that's like a must that we need. And I thank Lauren for being transparent. She said she gets anxiety when it comes to finances. And there is an art that I think when it comes to finances. And speaking of, Lauren, we missed you Friday. We had a whole seminar on coping with mental anxiety. So we are planning on having more of those in the future. So stay connected with Mind Your Business. But finances can make you anxious. You know, it's stressful when you don't have a plan, like someone said, or a strategy. So I use the acronym for ART if anyone is taking notes. The A for ART is action. You know, there are some actions that we have to take on our part, you know, if we want to be financially stable or financially successful. Like the young lady said, she changed her Facebook followers, you know, that took action on her part so that she can grow financially and become more knowledgeable in the things that she's interested in. Creating a budget. I heard David mention something like that. That's an action that we physically have to take. If you're going to have a strategy or a plan about your finances, you have to have a big picture of what your finances are. And that big picture is created by creating your budget, knowing what you have coming in and knowing what you have going out. Choosing a financial institution. That's an action that you have to take. I'm biased to credit unions because I work at a credit union, and it's, you know, I'm just more familiar with that. But find a financial institution that meets your personal needs, you know, sub accounts, fees. Do they offer a financial planner that you can sit down and talk to and create your own path personal to you? You know, that's the action that you have to take in becoming more financially successful. The R in arts is realistic. We have to be realistic with ourselves about setting financial goals. I think David opened up and said, someone said they want to be a millionaire overnight. It takes time. You have to be realistic with yourself, what you want to do with your finances. There are some sacrifices that you have to make, like David mentioned. Some people can go to the thrift stores and eat ramen noodles. Some people have to go to Ruth Chris or, I don't know. But if you are being realistic with yourself about what type of financial goals that you want to have, you have to write that down so you can commit to it. It's one thing saying it and thinking it, but sometimes you just got to write it down to remind yourself. Because when it comes to finances, it's easy for it to get out of control if you're not monitoring it or managing it. I've worked in the financial institution industry for over 25 years, and I've seen every spectrum. People living from paycheck to paycheck, people who are billionaires who just really don't know about finances. They're just gifted in the trade that they're a billionaire in, so they need someone to help them with their finances. So the statistics that I gave in the beginning is not a right or wrong or anything to be ashamed or embarrassed about. It's just like everyone has already shared, that we just need more knowledge and more information about it so that we can be better. And when we be better, we will know better and we can do better. And we can pass it on to our generations to come. Because growing up, when I was in middle school, I was in a club called Money and Banking. We literally had to open up a bank account, and it taught us about writing checks and savings and checking accounts, interest, and things like that. And then in high school, I was able to go to Golightly Career and Technical Center, and I was in finance and accounting. They taught us about stocks and accounting and taxes and things like that. And I used to volunteer with Junior Achievement. I think Shar said she hadn't heard from it in a while. They used to send me emails all the time. And I thought that was just amazing. They literally took students in and showed them about budgeting, how you have to pay bills. You get this paycheck and it's not all going towards gym shoes. You have to really put aside for your electric bill, your water bill, your mortgage, and things like that. So when we're realistic with ourselves, we're able to be more knowledgeable and feel more confident about our finances. And then the T in art is time frame. We've set actions out. We're being realistic. Now you want to have a time frame. I think Ernestine asked, well, when can I retire? I would like to retire by 50. So I had to sit down with a financial planner and create some goals so that I can retire at 50. And you have to be realistic with yourself about that time frame as well. Some people want to retire before, they've even saved or invested in a 401k or anything like that. But you just have to be realistic with yourself, with your time frame. Set goals. And it's okay to revisit those goals because those goals may change as life events change. You might get married, you might have kids, or you might have a divorce. You might receive an inheritance. So you're always going to be reviewing your goals that you set. The time frames may change. Health issues can come into play. But if you're using the art that these steps that I'm giving you with the acronym for art, it can help make you more prepared, if that makes sense, because you've created a budget, with the actions that you've taken. You're being realistic with yourself and you're setting time frames for yourself, and you're always revisiting those time frames and those goals that you set for yourself, because as we all know, 2020 just took us on the toll, and we all know that we have to have an emergency plan. There's no if, and, or buts about it. We just don't know what tomorrow will bring. But in your budget, you're setting aside money for those emergencies. You're setting aside money for your savings. You're setting aside money for anything that could possibly come up, but no one will know that but you. And that's the work that you have to do when you're creating your budget and sitting down and taking time to see. Some people have extracurricular activities that they have to commit to, that they have fees that they have to pay for. 100% of your paycheck should be allocated to something. I think that's one of Dave Ramsey theories. So if you make $100, that $100, when you get that, has to go into something, the whole $100. And one of those can be, eating out, groceries, or entertainment. But you've allocated 100% of your income to something in those different buckets, so that when that time comes, you're not scrambling for the money or trying to figure out how you're going to do it, or you're racking up a lot of debt because you didn't prepare for it. There are some things that shouldn't be a surprise. I always give the example about your driver's license renewal or your tags on your car. Everybody, for some reason, that come up, oh man, I got to pay my tags for my car. Well, we know this is an expense when we get the car. So that's not a surprise. That's not an unexpected expense because you set that money aside already when you get your paycheck. So that's just something simple, that I have as far as, financial responsibility. There is an art to it. It's just committing to it. So actions, realistic time frame, and I think that we'll be on the path that'll make us a little bit more successful financially or stable financially.
All right, thank you very much, Amina. I love that, that you use the acronym because I think you have to have the actions that go with it. And this is why I love having these kind of workshops because, when you want to be or have something, you really have to plan it out step by step. And you really do have to be able to watch things. I know that was a comment earlier where it's just like, if you're not necessarily ever talking about money or you just kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to ignore and hope my account's not overdrawn and, ignore my bills or something like that. You want to be able to make sure that, you're keeping things in a time frame and that you're being realistic about what bills are coming up so that you can anticipate how to, plan for them. Because, even my goal as a person, I'm having this workshop personally as Ernestine, but I think my goal as a council person is also to, be the kind of community that we are here for each other and that we can be the community that is a healthy and wealthy community. And, that we are not in foreclosure in our homes, that we are on top of our bills, or at least we know where to send people to go if they need help with taxes, and just we have resources for each other, and that we can continue to aspire for, aiming higher. So thank you both, David and Amina, for your insight on wealth. But I do have a question for both of you. So I don't know if anybody's heard of the FIRE movement, but it's financial independence, retire early. That is one of my goals, and I hope to get there by 40. And so in 5 years, to be able to, just maybe more like 45. But at the same time, I think that I wanted to ask questions around, the FIRE movement, where people are being extremely frugal and they're doing like I do, shopping at thrift stores, and they're just, trying to save all of their money and make smart financial decisions and being a minimalist when it comes to not being out there just consuming and spending money on things they really can't afford. So what are your thoughts? Amina, we can start with you on, the financial independence and early retirement. And then David, you can kick it off.
I think that falls along the lines of being realistic with yourself. If wealth for everyone is different. People are trying to accumulate a lot of things, and you have people that's trying to get rid of a lot of things. I actually met a lady who is a minimalist. I had never heard of that term before as like a person status. And I was in Las Vegas, and she lost her husband and I think a child. It was like a lot of devastating events that happened to her back to back, and she was just kind of like over. She had a boat, a yacht, a business, like everything just didn't make her happy. And she said something just told her to sell everything. And she was young and she was having health challenges, and so she didn't know how much longer she had. So for her, selling everything and just traveling around the world gave her peace and joy, and that was wealth for her. And I can kind of relate to that. Things can't make you happy, money can't make you happy. So retirement for me, if I can retire at 50, that would be great because I want to be able to enjoy my retirement, enjoy my nonprofit, working and serving in the community, and, spending time with my family. I don't have to have a mansion. I don't have to have a boat or a jet or anything like that. I'm fine with not eating out every week or every weekend. So I think that's a great movement to have, but you just have to be realistic with yourself, and not base it off someone else. I think someone mentioned about making your financial goals specific to your personal needs and wants and no one else. Like I think Lauren, when she was saying that stocks make her anxious. I remember when I first met with my financial advisor, everyone always say, well, you're so young, you can take a risk, you can take a risk. But that's for somebody who wants to take a risk. I'm like David, I'm more conservative. I don't want to take a risk. I don't like to see my money, up and down and all over the place. I want to kind of have an idea of what's going to happen. But that's me. My savings might grow a little slower than someone that's more willing to take a risk. But as long as I'm realistic and I've set those time frames, and I'm on track for my time frame for retiring by 50, I'm happy with that. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think the fire movement is good. I was doing it, but I didn't know about the community, and I found out about it after I was kind of already there-ish. Maybe I was a couple years away. It does seem like it's really about, minimalism, and I don't know how attractive that is to some people. You can be retired and have good income too. That's the situation I'm in. I make more money per year now than I ever did when I was working, and I spend time doing whatever I want. And I could watch TV all day. I don't. I read books and hang out with my son and exercise and hang out with friends. But it doesn't matter what I do on a particular basis. The money just rolls in, and it's nice. I can go on vacations and invest in companies and do all kinds of things. But I like Ernestine, that you have a goal. If you're like, oh, I want to retire in 5 years, putting that plan together and saying, hey, what do I need to do to make this happen? And whether that's, needing $10,000 a year or needing $200,000 a year, if I need to hit X in a certain time frame and then work backwards, how can I do that? So, if you need to make $200,000 a year, maybe you need to get a huge increase in your salary or get into real estate or something like that. Versus if you need $10,000 a year, well, that's a whole different ballgame. So I really like that, that goal. And I think that community could be really helpful, even if you don't want to live minimalistically, that could have some ideas where, they're doing things that people might not have thought about, or, oh, hey, if I do this, or, ways to cut corners, or maybe even cut things they're not going to miss.
Right, like cable and living in a tiny house and, only buying thrifted clothes and, not eating out and things. That is not necessarily something that's easy for everybody. But we do have two things in the chat here. Somebody had a question about, okay, where did it go? Does every credit union have a financial planner? And then Charlotte has a statement.
I know DFCU Financial offers a free consultation with the financial planner, and that's just for them to be able to get a scope of your finances and your goals. And then depending on what you decide to do after that consultation, there may be some fees after that. So that's why one of the actions that you have to take with the art of your finances is finding a financial institution that's going to meet your goals. So if your bank doesn't offer it, you do have other options where you can, and you shouldn't have to pay a ton of money just to talk to someone.
Okay, thank you. And so now we have a statement from Charlotte.
Yeah, I just kind of want to say, you guys didn't really touch on this, but every year people get thousands and thousands of dollars back in their taxes. And they just think that that's just free money that they can blow. I call it tax time balling. I think if they took that money, because if you get a $5,000 tax return, that's your goal for what you would be trying to save for years and years. You've got $5,000, which would have took somebody who doesn't get a return like that, like years to save. So I think people underutilize their tax returns. First off, I think if you're getting that and you didn't, that's not money. If they took that from you, that's just your money you're getting back. That's number one. And number two, if you get that much, I tell people, pay you some life insurance for a year or invest. So people don't utilize that. And I think if we got more people to do that, they would have a little bit more. And that's your emergency fund right there. But they take it and they blow it every year. I watch people do it all the time. That's the statement that I had. I hate that. That's a pet peeve of mine that they do that.
Right. That's why accountability is super important. But sorry, Amina, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's a good point. I always advise people, anything extra that you get, and especially don't live off overtime because that's not guaranteed. Anything extra that you get should be set aside for something that's contributing to, like, towards retirement or savings or your wealth. I know a couple that used to buy a house every year with their tax refund because they get those houses for like $100 or $1,000. They would get almost $5,000 back every year. So when they were younger, they would buy a house and they were younger and had time to fix it up and rent it out. So that was residual income for them. I know a guy who buys a CD every year with $1,000 of his refund that he gets for his taxes as well. That's all a part of your, setting your financial goals. If you're expecting a refund, kind of have an idea of what you want to do with it and take those actions to do it and be realistic with it.
All right, we have one more question and then we're going to move right along into health. Or at least, okay, I'll read the question. It was somebody had a question about a life scenario.
No, I'll do it.
Oh, go ahead.
This is for both David and Amina. Okay. There's a lot of people like me out there who in our younger years, we had great jobs. We were spending money left and right to go on trips or fireworks or whatever to have a great time, young and dumb. And I ended up taking my credit report and I was completely down in the poorest that could be. So I would have a budget where I had my monthlies here and I had my yearlies here so that I could throw them into the monthly as I went. And what I did over the past 20 some odd years was I started to take $20, $30 extra to pay on the credit card, right? Well, now it took that long a time, but now I'm in the exceptional area for my credit. However, I do still live paycheck to paycheck. I'm on disability now. I'm 54 years old. So the two things for me is where does someone like me start, A, and B, this may have been covered, but I'm hearing through some of the business chatter that because of COVID, it's not a good time to invest. Could you guys clear that up?
I'm not super familiar with disability, but it sounds like you've got some money coming in every month, and maybe that's a paycheck to paycheck. So maybe that's meeting your expenses, but you don't have anything left over and you're just kind of like stuck. And then you're gonna be in a bad situation. Like if your rent goes up or something, or I don't know if you have a car breakdown or something like that, then you don't have any extra money to deal with that. Does that sound like the situation?
Yeah.
I think if I was in something like that, I would try to look for either extra income or for cutting. I always want to have like a surplus. So I'm like building every month, and I'd be really nervous. If I make $100 a month and I spend $100 a month, I'm nervous. If I spend $100 a month, I want to make 120 or 200 or something. So I've got some excess in there, and if I can't make more, then I want to try to cut my expenses. And sometimes that can be really hard, but sometimes there are creative ways. Maybe even like house sitting to eliminate a house expense, or roommates. Who knows what. But I don't think it's easy. But maybe there's something to do there to try to create a surplus. I think would be the first thing that I would try to do.
That's the same thing I was going to say too, to both Davids. But yeah, I always tell my members, you either have to find a way to increase your income or decrease your expenses. Do you have to have cable or the premium channels? You can sell things on Marketplace. You can DoorDash. There's ways to create extra income, and it can be temporary just until you pay some of your credit card debt down. David, a good job on bringing your credit score up. A lot of people can't even do that, so that's good. So now that your credit is good, I would do, whatever your smallest credit card balance, try to pay that one off, pay the minimum on your other credit cards, or whichever one has the highest interest rate. Try to tackle that one, pay more than the minimum on that one. And, just slowly but gradually pay your credit card debt down with that extra money that you have coming in. If you're doing DoorDash or selling things on Marketplace or something like that, they have so many delivery services out here, people who can deliver your groceries, and bring you food and stuff like that. So if you can do that just temporarily or part-time, and that's based on your schedule. You clock in when you want or when you need to, or however much you need, to help you reach your financial goals. But that's pretty much all you can do at this point. Either reduce some of your expenses or find a way to make some extra money. But good job on increasing your credit.
Okay, well, thank you very much for, our financial aspect of this workshop. So now we're going to delve into health. So, a lot of us have health goals, and when the new year rolls around, we, plan for, okay, I want to lose this amount of weight, or I would just want to get fit, or I have this kind of these goals. And, then by around this time, maybe late February, early March, we fall off track. And so I think the thing is, I really want to, be able to help the community to stick with the goals and to offer some advice. So to everybody who kind of registered for this workshop, I do have like a goodie bag, and it's actually going to include this workbook, which has like its life goals, and in it, it's a healthier and happier you, because what it does is it helps with self-care progress. And it can really when it comes to tallying things like the amount of money you're spending, it's got a spending tracker. And this is something that you can every month watch what you're eating. And then there's also like just personal goals, individual goals, and then a way to make it stick. I am the queen of watching and taking classes, and in YouTube University, there's one YouTuber, Matt Diavella. I love watching his videos because he helps you with like habit formation, because it takes about 40 days for you to really get a new habit into your life. And so you have to almost like be really diligent with like making sure you're staying on top of it, and don't let more than 2 days pass without doing that thing. Even if you go in and you just take it easy, I think that sticking with health is really important. And 2020 was definitely one of those years that put health into perspective, because and I'm going to have some controversial statements here, but I think that 2020 has presented something that's become an emerging trend, which is we have begun seeing a rise in zoonotic diseases. And so what zoonotic diseases are diseases like the coronavirus that can come from animals. So when animals are improperly cared for, when they're in, inhumane conditions, like, a lot of the farms in the United States where our chickens and our cows are, they're cooped in very small conditions and quarters, and, then they're going out for us to eat. And so, a lot of people have been saying, does being plant-based or vegan or cutting out meat or dairy, is that going to help with my health? And the answer, study after study has shown that when you eliminate those meats, or you cut them out, or you even just go easier on the meats, it can help you with not only your overall health, but it also helps with your bottom line, because now you're not paying a lot of money for health costs. You are getting medicine from your plants. You're getting medicine from, just what you eat. You're giving yourself an opportunity to recuperate and to, have that balanced diet. So I wanted to talk about that because of, the way that the pandemic has made, these zoonotic diseases, it pretty much took over our entire lives, just because of, we're going to continue to see these kind of diseases, because they're coming from animals that are not being properly cared for, and then they're spreading to humans, which means that we don't necessarily have the right herd immunity to be able to get rid of them or to bounce back from them, because they're new strains, new types of infection. And so we are what we eat, which is why I think it's really important to have something like a tracker in here. And then also, we're a small community, and there are resources here. We have the Healthy Growth Point and Harper Woods, association and organization that really helps to get folks active. And then we have folks like, I know I always see like Jonetta and Reggie are doing their exercises, and then Lauren was doing the challenge, and then Charlotte and we were taking our walks during the summer. So, if there are more things that you guys want to see in the community to, encourage that everybody gets together, everybody's walking, everybody's doing something active. There is a ice skating rink at Johnston Park, and I don't know if any of you guys know this, but that's a great way to be active when you are not necessarily as active, because you can't go out inside and just run, so. And then there's also still, you can do mall walking, even though the mall is closed on Saturdays. Eastland is pretty empty at this point, so why not use that as a means of getting active and getting healthy? So as far as what
The
you
mall is closed on Saturday as well, or just Sunday?
just Sundays. And if I said
Okay.
Saturdays, thank you for correcting me because I meant Sunday. And so being health conscious, it starts with what you put into your body. And I have started taking courses on plant-based nutrition because anybody here watch the documentary Game Changers, or Fed Up, or any of these other ones that talk about what the food that we're doing, what the food that we're eating in the American diet is doing to us. It's having very, very bad long-term repercussions on how we are. It's making us, we're not as able to think. We're all hyperactive because we consume too much sugar, we consume too much dairy, and too much of so many of these different things are actually not good for us. So we really do have to get back to plants and being active in addition to just that diet. So it's really more about being cognizant of not consuming all the wrong things. But then it's also about being active and making sure that you have a lower tolerance for failure when it comes to making sure that we're staying on top of our health. And so I wanted to bring these things up because we do have resources in the community. And if you guys want to talk more about this, I'm more than happy to point you in the direction of experts. Like I said, I took a course with the Black Health Academy, and every Saturday they do have a free workshop every first of the month. So you can go and get more education around plant-based nutrition. And then there's also a woman in Grosse Pointe who actually pitched at the 2019 at our soups. We had Whitney Stars. She pitched twice, and she has a lot of information on health-based nutrition and being a vegan or vegetarian, or just kind of taking on this diet. And she does a lot of like helping you with meal planning and meal prepping. And then there's also a lot of virtual options for working out. One of them, she used to be very active at the high school track during the summer. Her name is Markeisha, and she has these virtual workshops called Body by MK. And I think that being indoors and at your own pace, it's definitely something that's going to be great for you to be able to stay on top of your own fitness goals. But I also say all this because I want to end with the fact that you have me as an accountability person too, and as an accountability partner. So just reach out, and we can help each other stay on top of these goals. And I'll also link more about the Healthy Grosse Pointe in Harper Woods, because next week they're going to be having a yoga webinar. So they have a webinar like every 2 weeks, so you can participate in those, and those are free. So yeah, just wanted to make sure that we are staying on top of our health. And because when we look good, we feel good, and when we feel good, we are just in a better mindset. And that kind of leads me into the mind frame. So I do want to have just talk a little bit more about the happiness aspect. And I think happiness has to do with like this mindset around overcoming limiting beliefs. And since Sheri is here and she is a life coach, I do want to have her, right after I play this, I want to have her say a little bit about just like limiting beliefs and mindset. And because I feel like you've been itching to kind of drop some of that knowledge as a life coach on us as well. But I'm going to play this clip and hopefully it works. If not, I'm going to have to stop sharing for a moment and then just bring it up. All right. It was nice to see everybody's faces all on one screen. All right. Okay, just 1 second, guys. All right. And in addition to, while I'm bringing that up, in addition to the workbook, I'm also sending little goodie bags because most of you, I know where you live. And then I'm going to bring over, a nice Valentine's Day goodie bag for you to enjoy. And, the booklet, of course, where you can, keep track of everything. So yes, I know that's creepy, right? I know where all you live. So, okay. I am getting this here. Where did it go? Just one moment. Feel free to ask any questions while I'm back here in trying to pull up the video because it didn't work in the slide.
I will say that the exercise thing that I did, so basically I was committing to 30 minutes a day, every day. And I was checking in with a friend of mine that coordinates it as an effort, but it's been something that I've been trying to do on my own because 30 minutes a day, I mean, I'm not training to get the biceps that were mentioned by David earlier, but I'm trying my best to at least maintain sort of a baseline of health and activity, especially because I'm trapped inside, like so many of us are right now. And so I just, if you're looking at an easy or attainable goal for yourself, I would recommend doing that 30 minutes a day. I've just been doing walking on my treadmill. I've even done some Zoom meetings from my treadmill. So I'm not an expert or anything, but I know that I was successful at least making that a small attainable goal for myself.
So I know we had I think somebody from Beaumont come to one of our meetings, NEDC, and they were offering us grants at the time. And once we get our status up, we will more easily qualify for that. But I kind of wanted to do in the parks how they have down on the Quinder Cut. They have those little exercise stations. You walk, and then they have like a bike, and they have like that thing. I don't know what it's called, but if we can, these are goals that I'm trying to get for us. So if we can put them like in the park across the freeway, I can't think of it right now. Just when I come to
Salter, yeah, I think Salter used to have those.
Yeah,
there's
really?
like paths around
all
the
ages.
trail.
Well, I don't know. That's the goal, to try to see if we can get somebody to install us like a couple of bikes and a couple of weight benches, the pull-up bar or something like that. They have it down at the DeQuinder Cut, I was told. So if we can get something like that, that would be really great. And these are goals that I'm working on for when we get our 501c3 status. So just
they have them at Maharris Park too, over Jefferson and Connors area too. The exercise equipment over there too.
I think those are cute. You just stop and ride for 5 minutes, and then you continue to walk. They're the positioning of them and the types of items that they are designed for optimal exercise, I guess.
Yes.
So these are goals.
And these are also goals because I had a workshop, it was called Envisioning Community Goals. And, it was something where there were some other council people there, and they were mentioning that, once upon a time in Harper Woods, we used to have, community goal setting workshops. And I think this is something that, virtually, I've been having the local politics info sessions where I ask people like, what do you want to see for your community? And, the NEDC has been a really great means of, helping the community to be able to do things that they want to do. Because of the fact that, you've got a group of volunteers who are doers, and, they're not going to talk over things and have to stop and, vote on it, or at least haven't had to in the past, and that might change. But it's really more about being able to have a group, get together, and we have ideas that are, workshopped, and then we see if it's feasible, and then we all work together to make it happen. I think somebody's unmuted, and let me, if I can, because I was going to play this clip here, but I just want to make sure everybody is muted if you're not speaking, and then we will dive right into this.
You have got to change the way you think. It is the whole determining factor of where you go in life. We are all where we are today because we thought ourselves to this position. If you don't like the position, think yourself out of it. Your brain is divided into two halves: positive and negative, good and evil. It don't function on nothing else. Ain't no neutral ground in your brain. It's either positive and good or negative and evil. Each half of your brain has millions of factory workers on each side. You got 1 million factory workers on the positive side. You got 1 million factory workers on the negative side. At the forefront of each one of those factories in your brain is a foreman. You got foreman positive and you got foreman negative. You are in charge. You're the boss of the factory. Guess what? We are how we think. You can't make a world, but you can make your own world. So now, since your brain is in two halves, let me show you how this works. You wake up in the morning and you say, man, I don't feel myself today. I got up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm not a morning person. Foreman negative hears that. He steps to the front. He said, what did you say? You say, I said I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. I'm not myself. I'm not a morning person. He says, you got it right away. He said, hey, the boss just woke up and said he's not a morning person. He's having a bad day today, and he ain't feeling himself. Let's get to work. The 1 million factory workers start producing thoughts to justify what you just said. So now guess what? Man, I hate my alarm clock went off this morning. I got to get out here in this traffic. I would drive down here today. I don't even like these people on my job. I can't stand this car I'm finna get in this morning. Sure wish I had a new car, but I'm driving this ragged ass car. And on and on and on. And your day starts tumbling into what you ordered at the top of the day. You can wake up in the morning and you say, you know what? Today is gonna be a great day today. I expect something really good to happen for me today. You said, what did you say? You said, I said I'm having a great day today. I expect something good to happen today. Foreman positive turns around and goes, all right, let me have your attention. Steve's having a great day today. He's expecting some wonderful things to happen. And man, let's get it going. And they start manufacturing thoughts. Same brain, man. I can't wait to go to work today. It may not be the job I want, but at least I got a job. I'm sure grateful I got a car to drive to work today. Hey man, at least I got a check coming in. I appreciate the fact that I don't have a car, but at least I can walk to the train. Man, this is gonna be great today. That's how your mind works 24/7. It never turns off. Change your attitude, you change your altitude.
It all depends on how you look at it. Our lives are mostly affected by the way we think things are, not the way they are. The way we think they are affects us most. And Shoaib taught me that the mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. As you think, so you become.
Okay, so that was just a little snippet that I wanted to play from Steve Harvey, and I love how motivational he is. And then you also hear Jim Rohn, who's a famous motivational speaker in the end. I really was looking for one from Les Brown, because there was one where Steve Harvey, Les Brown, Jim Rohn, and all the great motivational speakers, because really we limit ourselves by what we tell ourselves. So we tell ourselves like, well, you know what, no one loves me, I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy of love, then you're just going to attract more of that. You're going to manifest more of that into your life. And then if you tell yourself, well, I'm broke, or I've got no money, or how am I going to pay for that, or where's that going to come from? And of course you're going to get more of that. You're going to get more bills, you're going to get not enough income. And so I think that you have to change your mindset. And even around your health, like it's like, oh, okay, well, I could never lift weights, I could never do that. But it's just like eating an elephant, you got to eat it one one bit at a time. And so I love that Steve Harvey kind of used that analogy of the factory in your head, because it's all you. It's all you. If you decide to make up in your head that, oh, people aren't going to like me, or they're not going to do this, or I can't get, this thing done, then of course your wish is my command, because you're manifesting that, you're bringing that into your life. And so, I want to end this Valentine's Day workshop by saying that we are in charge of our own mindsets, and we are, the ones who are planning our roadmap for the future, and we can have a brighter future. Because sure, you can't anticipate what kind of things are going to be thrown into your life, but you can have a roadmap, because when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So, we want to, just encourage more folks to imagine being, doing, and having more in life. And, when we operate from that mindset, yeah, we might have things thrown into the equation. Yeah, there are boom times, and yeah, there are bust times, and there are good times, bad times. But when we just have a more positive mindset, we can overcome these things to be able to anticipate, what the next move is going to be. So with that, I did want to, ask Sheri a little bit more about like where we can find you and your life coaching services, and if you have any words of wisdom that you want to impart to our audience here, for some positivity and on self-love.
So I am actually, I don't know if anyone is paying attention to me, but I keep looking off the camera because I am literally in the process right now of building my website. So I'm working on that as I'm engaging with you all here today. So website will be up soon. I'm on Facebook, Mindset Connect. You should be able to find me there. Or under my personal page, which is my actual name, Sheri Cornelius. Listening to you and talk about limiting beliefs. I'm a member at Grace Community Church right here on 94 in Maross, and if anyone is a member as well, you probably know exactly where I'm about to go. But our pastor always says, no one talks to you more than yourself, so be careful of what you tell yourself. And I think that quote that he always says is extremely powerful, because some limiting beliefs that we have are things that other people have told us, maybe in our childhood, maybe you grew up in a house and, parents are always yelling, these kids are stupid. And you grow up to believe what? That you're stupid. Not because you are, but that's because what you heard day in and day out at home. Some of it is an abusive relationship, maybe not physically abusive, but maybe emotionally or verbally abusive. And that significant other is telling you that you're no good or you're not beautiful or whatever it may be. And you start to believe those things. But sometimes they come from us. We tell ourselves things about ourselves that are the farthest from the truth, but we end up believing them. And what we believe is what we act on, and it becomes life. So limiting beliefs are extremely powerful. Sometimes we don't even recognize that they are there and that they exist, because to us, it's just life and how it goes. So it takes for us sometimes to actually, one, recognize it, and then two, talk it through with someone else to help us learn how to get rid of those limiting beliefs and replace them with other things that helps us grow beyond them. I'm one that's huge on positive affirmations. Steve Harvey kind of talked about it in that video. You can wake up and say it's a bad day, or you can wake up and say this day is going to be amazing. You might not feel like it, but when you tell yourself that and program your mind that way, your day starts to fall that way. So it's a lot, very, very deep. Limiting beliefs are very deep because sometimes they're rooted deeply within you. But definitely worth going through the exercises and the time to really own them, because we have to own them before we can dish them. We can't just sweep them under the rug if we don't really deal with what the issue is, identifying where they come from, why they even exist, and what we need to do to go beyond them. So that's it.
All right. Thank you for those words of wisdom. And so as we get to our 4:30 end time, which was listed nowhere, but we're wrapping things up at 4:30. Any final questions for anybody on the panel regarding health, wealth, and happiness, or any words of wisdom also for, planning, accountability, saving, and being the best version of yourself to better love yourself and love others?
Just want to say to you, thank you for doing this.
Oh, thank you, Charlotte. Yeah. So no, Charlotte is also my muse, because she's just out here and she's just killing it.
Is there
Not
a
yet.
list
I'm
of the
trying.
Workshops? One more time? That was Tiffany, I think.
Is there a list of like the workshops? I just happened to be scrolling through Facebook and I saw it and I was like, oh, well, let's see what that's about,
we want to get better at that collectively, because I know that different people are doing different things. I know, like Charlotte mentioned, the Neighborhood Economic Development Coalition, or NEDC. They have a lot of workshops. I know Amina has workshops through Mind Your Business nonprofit. And then me as a city council person, I'd like to have one workshop a month. And then there are also other council folks. I know Veronica Pies had an All About Dogs, partnering with the Grosse Pointe Animal Adoption Society. And then Councilwoman Constantino is having something on cyber crimes. So, you know, we all need to be better at making sure people know well in advance. So, but I'll be sure to kind of let you know about what things are on the horizon and what things are coming up once they're solidified. So, which Harperwood's Facebook group are you most active in? Is it David's group, the neighbors for
Yeah,
Neighborhood Watch?
yeah,
Residents only.
yeah. I
Okay,
think
Neighborhood Watch residents only. Okay, all
yeah,
right.
I think it's David's group. I think that's the only Harper Woods group that I'm in.
Okay, okay. Amina, I think you were saying something.
I was wondering if they could get the the website for the NEDC. I know
Yes.
this is all involving Harper Woods. We can, once we have our board meeting, we can see if it's okay for maybe just any activities, like we can have a place on there, where whoever is having stuff, they can go there in Harper Woods to see what's going on.
Right, and we can do that, because we were doing that pretty well, because we were knowing in advance about a lot of the workshops. So, and then also our quarterly newsletter, the Insider, does have a lot of workshops and things when they're happening. But for the question Tiffany asked, I will send you over like a link to the website. So then when events are coming up, we'll be sure to let you know. And I'll also just kind of let you know about other, personal events that the community is having, that maybe is a little less city oriented, but just more like good skills that maybe people would want to learn more about.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, David, thank you. David Smith, I want to thank you so much for coming and spending your Valentine's Day with me, and doing this workshop, and, just kind of dropping that knowledge, that wealth of knowledge on all of us here, and, just kind of letting us know what we need to be aware of and what's out there and what the questions are. And thank you to Amina as well for sharing the financial information. And thank you for all of the folks here who attended. And you're going to be hearing from me more. You're probably going to be sick of me. You probably already are sick of me, because I'm always out here putting out something in these groups. So thank you so much for everybody who attended, and I look forward to seeing you at the next virtual and or in-person event. And stay safe, and happy Valentine's Day. Remember to love yourself.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day. Bye.
Thank you. Same to you.